Welcome to the Living Centred podcast, a podcast all about learning together how to live lives which are centred on Jesus. Everyone lives centred on something. Our goal is to learn together how every area of our lives, everything about who we are and how we live, can be increasingly oriented around Jesus and transformed by Jesus. He invites us to a rich and satisfying life, where the good news that he truly is enough changes everything about how we relate to God, ourselves, and the world. In each episode, a different person shares about what it's looking like for them to seek to centre their life on Jesus right now. As we hear their stories, we get to learn together and to encourage one another in what it means for Jesus to be at the centre of our lives. This is a journey we are all invited to, and a conversation we all get to be a part of. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, my name's Adrian, and it is so good to welcome you to this week's episode of the Living Centred podcast. And it is my privilege to introduce today my daughter, Becky, who will be sharing this week. You've already jumped in with a hello.
Hi.
Hello, Becky.
Hello.
Very good. Well, as always, I wonder if you could start by just telling us a little bit about who you are and what your life looks like at this point in time.
Yeah, of course. I'm Becky and I'm 17. I'm currently going to college and I'm in my last year now. I'm studying graphic design, photography and media.
Amazing. Thank you. To the point, straight in, which is really good. I wonder, therefore, the big question we always ask straight off the bat is this. What does living centred on Jesus look like for you right now?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. There's a few different things that help me to live more centred on God. So firstly, I'm doing the Living Centred course, which is run by you.
Amazing.
Just thought I'd plug that in there.
Very good.
So that's really good. I quite enjoy doing things in smaller groups because I find it really interesting to discuss and learn what people find from different passages and like what speaks to them. So that's been really good.
Yeah.
And then I quite like doing prayer walks, and I try to do those at least once each week. Mm-hmm. And I'll often end up doing it whilst I take the dogs out, which is it's a good amount of time. I think about 20 minutes, half an hour. I like to take this time not just to ask God for things, but to talk to him about what is going on in my life and ask him how he's doing as well. Because I think this time just benefits me because it allows me to stay connected in my relationship with God and makes our relationship more of a friendship rather than me just asking things of him.
Amazing.
Then I also just try and have little moments of God time. So on the bus, on my way to college, I'll listen to worship music or just sort of praying out little prayers when I'm struggling with things or just like prayers of thanks. I also got gifted a breath prayer book by my mom, and that book's by Jennifer Tucker. It's really helpful for just simple moments of stillness with God, because even if I don't have that much time, I can just flip to a page in that and just have time with God, which is good.
No, it's really good. Really good.
Yeah, it really helps like relax me, especially in A-levels, because I think college is just so stressful and school system is very stressful. So being able to relax is good and bring me closer to God, which is good.
Yeah.
And then just, of course, reading the Bible helps me to live centered on God.
No. Good to say.
Yeah, I've just finished reading Ephesians, which has been really amazing and just shown me so much of God's glorious love. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then in my small group, we're looking at Romans, which is really helpful. And I think I find it really interesting, the difference between studying like books of the Bible by myself and then in groups, because I think it shows you like what God is specifically speaking to you about and then what he's speaking to other people about.
Amazing.
Which I think is really good.
That's great. Yeah. That's really varied. A lot of stuff in terms of what living centered on Jesus looks like for you at this point in time. And what we're doing in the show notes is kind of put in some links in terms of how you can find out a bit more about the course, the way to stay centered, a link to the book that Becky mentioned in terms of breath prayers. In it, just your observation then, just of how like studying the Bible where there's a difference in terms of us doing it individually and with other people is just really helpful. Mm-hmm. I think we're meant to do it more together. As it just really benefits us. Mm-hmm. I guess you've mentioned a number of things that are there that are helping you, but I wonder if there's anything else that you wanted to add in terms of what is helping you at the moment.
I think just making sure I do give time to be with God each week.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so easy to get distracted by like just everything now in the world.
Yeah,
like, as I was saying the other week, just going on your phone for a second can turn into like hours. You can just start scrolling. So I try to turn my phone off if I'm going on like a prayer walk, or I'll put it on Do Not Disturb so I can just give myself to God and show my love for him. I also really love worship music. So even if it's just like listening to it whilst I'm washing up, it helps me to recenter my mind on God, just like in the ordinary.
That's really good. I love that. Of both the intentionality of actually there's things that we can have around us, like technology, that's good, but it can be a distraction. And so knowing sometimes you've got to just turn it off, but also the kind of way of just seeing that God can be present with us in everyday tasks.
Yeah.
And so washing up becomes a moment to encounter and build in relationship with God, which I think is amazing. Maybe we should allow you to do more washing up. Maybe that's something out of this, which is really cool. I guess then the next question I'd ask is then, what are you discovering then at this point in time about who God is as Father, Son and Spirit?
Yeah, I think I'm discovering God's care for me and how I can rely on him. Because I think I try so much to do things by myself and like figure things out on my own. But I'm slowly learning to rely more on God and share my burdens with him so that he can give me rest.
Yeah.
Because I think just it's so easy to try and figure everything out by yourself and like have the answers to everything. But yeah, just giving my troubles to God is making everything a lot better.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what does that kind of look like? How do you do that? How do you, like, obviously it's a learning process, you've said that, but like when you're giving your troubles, burdens to God, what does that look like for you? Yeah,
I think it's just sort of like praying them out to God, even if it feels like he's not answering them straight away. Because I think that is something that I've definitely struggled with in the past. I've thought, oh, it needs to be an immediate answer.
Yeah.
I need to have this figured out by like this exact time. But that's not really how God works always, because he works in very mysterious and wonderful ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just sort of simple prayers, and also praying with other people really helps. Because it's like you're speaking to other people, but also speaking to God with other people, which I think is more powerful in itself.
Yeah.
And just being vulnerable with people and with God.
Yeah. That's really good. Really, really helpful. I guess then my last question is like, how are you changing at this point in time? If we were to have met you like 3, 6, 12 months ago, like how would you look different today to who you were then? Yeah. I think over the past year, really, my understanding of what it means to be in a relationship with God has massively changed. Yeah.
I think that in the past, I definitely misunderstood what being forgiven by Christ like was. And I used it as an opportunity to just like act in any way that I wanted to, just do anything, just thinking, oh, it's fine because God will forgive me.
Yeah.
But I've learned that there is so much more to live for. Doing things in the right way is so much more fulfilling and brings me so much more happiness when I'm living a life with God, being more prominent and allowing him and his ways to help me choose the ways that I act.
Yeah.
So that's basically how I'm changing, I think.
That's amazing.
And just allowing myself to actually have time with God.
Yeah.
Definitely, because I think I didn't used to do that.
Yeah. It sounds amazing. It sounds liberating.
Yeah.
To kind of realize you get to live in the good of the relationship you've got with God, which is great.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could ask you a cheeky other question.
Oh.
Going back to kind of some of the things that are helping you, what living centered on Jesus looks like for you. You talked about those weekly prayer walks.
Yeah.
And I wondered if there's what you particularly do in that, whether it's just things that you just pray about that you said in terms of burdens, or whether there's a pattern of something that you pray for in that walk.
I don't know. I mean, I like to start off my prayer walks with saying what I'm thankful for. Sometimes just like little things like in the day, or sometimes like bigger things like thank you for my legs and that I can walk, and thank you for my family and my house. Because I think it is just, sometimes we take these things for granted, but it's just so good to thank God for all that, because there is so much pain in the world. Then I also just sometimes I'm like, I hope you're doing okay, God. Like, I hope you're all right. And then like any struggles that I'm feeling on that particular day, I'll be like, I'll pray for this. And then if anyone's said anything that's like made me think, oh, I'll pray for them, I'll do that on the walk as well. And I think it's quite funny because I do pray out loud on my prayer walks, which I think often to some people I could look like I'm insane because I haven't got earphones on. I'm just talking out loud to myself just randomly. But I think it's just so good because it's just connecting you more with God. And also I like being in nature.
Yeah.
Because nature connects me more with God. So putting those two things together, I think just really helps me.
Yeah. That's really good. It's really good. Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Becky. I think for me, and this may not be a surprise because it's why I asked the additional question at the end, I'm going to be considering more that weekly rhythm of a walk with God and just a prayer walk and just building the conversation, building a relationship, coming and praying, putting my phone on flight mode, I think sounds really good. I think that's what I'm going to be considering and seeking to do this coming week. How about you, my listening friends? What are you going to be seeking to do out of all that Becky has so richly shared with us in the next few days? Lastly, thank you for listening, and I pray you would know more of the wonder of living centered on Jesus this coming week.
Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of the Living Centered podcast. New episodes are released every Monday, and if you enjoyed this episode, please do like and subscribe on your chosen podcast provider to receive them direct each week. Living Centered is produced by the team at Oasis Church in Birmingham, UK, and you can find out more and get in touch with the team via theoasischurch.com.